question that I had that it's not, I mean, it's related but not completely like related to what we've been talking about. So, how you're gonna, like, once you query the information that you're looking for, let's say, when you're trying to get the stuff out of the database that we've set up and that's been entered, you said that you wanted to, people in different branches use this information in very different ways. So, like, for example, one person will look for the amount of time they've been with the company versus another person will be just looking for their email so they can shoot them out an email for this event for fundraising or a race or whatever. Is the exporting, like, certain information more of an importance, or is it like making sure that you can get access to the information just to, like, find the information itself more important to you? Because I mean, I feel like a lot of it is, like, for the email side, it's more get a list from a query and then export that into Excel or whatever, or Outlook or whatever it is that you're looking, or MailChimp or whatever it is you use, versus, hey, I just needed this information about these people in this company for going in to meet with these people. So I just was wondering, what exactly are you looking for?
Right now, I'm gonna say the most important thing is to be able to have that information and to be able to put that information together. So what I mean is, if my boss comes to me and says, I want a list of all the automotive manufacturers that we have a relationship with, right?
Okay.
That I can do the query and I can hand him that list. Now, if it's an email that I hand him the list, or if it's a hard copy that I hand him the list, I need to be able to put that information together into a report that I can send off to him.
Okay. So you're looking to, you don't really have a preference in terms of how it's exported or put into a copy. It's more or less just being able to do it itself.
Yes.
In a convenient way. Okay.
And being able to do a query in an easy manner.
Right.
And I know that Access, you can do queries. I know this. And it's been 1,000 years. And I went in to go relearn how to do queries, and you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's going to be it'll be a new process to have to learn. But what I think is interesting about the query aspect and the reporting aspect is you can have a query, but then you have to create the report to go with the query.
Yeah.
And there's a double work in there that I'd like to see what we can do about eliminating.
Well, what you do is, if you've got, let's just say you've got queries you run regularly, you save them into what are called views.
Yeah.
And then you bring the view up on and you can run that at any time, because it may change tomorrow, so you can run it again tomorrow. Then you base the report off the view all the time, because that's got the latest and greatest data.
Right.
Plus, if the query is very complex, and all you all you typically do is you say, you write this big long query, and then you say create view, give it a name as, boom. Then that name replaces everything that you've done.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about writing it again or anything else. So
The biggest thing with that too is being able to, you don't have to, like you said, not being able to have to write the query again, but at the same time, anytime that information in the system gets updated, your view will automatically take that information as the most updated thing.
Yes.
You don't have to go in and type the code again just to get the most updated
it's always,
information.
when it runs the view, it's always running it against the database itself. So as long as the database is updated, as he said, the view will be updated as well.
So and something that I said right before we had to quit reminded me of something else that tends to be a problem, an obstacle that I'd like for you guys to figure out how we're going to overcome. If I put in Eric Schmidt and you met Eric Schmidt and you go directly to the database to put him in, the database right now has no way of recognizing that it's a duplicate.
That's not hard to fix though, because what you do is you just make an unintelligible field that you call ID, and as you put people in, You know, you'd have to figure out what you want. I mean, because
There's like criteria.
it would be possible to have an Eric Schmidt at one company and an Eric Schmidt at another company. So ideally, you'd figure out the minimalist criteria that you would need to say, this would make this person unique, okay? And then, if somebody tries to put in Eric Schmidt and there already is somebody at that company, it would flag it, and not allow them to do
And
this.
that's what,
So there's already been one, yeah.
right, so that, and then the other thing is, so as I mentioned, I have a relationship with Margaret Kenyon and Mark Steele at Craftsman Industries. I'm just gonna stick with them.
Right.
Now you guys will know them too. So if I go into Mark Steele's category, or his contact, and I go into Margaret's, how do I know that the company information is correct? I'd like to have it where the company information is consistent.
You do that because you take the company information and that goes in its own table.
Okay.
And then everything is based off of that table.
Yeah.
You know, you join the different tables together to get the information you want, but it's gonna be the same thing that you said with you know, having with names and whatever. Because ideally, what you do is you have tables, but those tables, where possible, will have codes too, like your SIC code. You could have the code and then the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the idea is then every table that would be necessary to have that, you only put the code in. Because if you ever have to change the industry, the description, you only change it in one spot,
Right,
type of an idea.
yes,
And
that's what I'm looking
right.
for.
Yeah.
And that's what we'd be looking to do.
Okay,
Yeah, because when that information gets entered into each person's thing, it'll have, if they click on that company, it will pull up that company's information, like, just in general. It'll automatically fill that.
Right.
So you won't have to, like, you won't necessarily have to enter that information to where it'll be in multiple times where, like, there'll be one person on this entry entering in this company's information. It's gonna be its own separate table so that if it's the new company or whatever, let's say, once that gets entered, it'll add it to the choices. And you can click on that one and
Yeah.
okay,
it'll just auto-populate that field. for you.
perfect.
Yeah,
Sehr gut.
yeah, because that would be frustrating.
Well, and the other thing too is, you know, when you talked about, you got somebody from this company and somebody else from this company. Another way that would be helped is if you had your notes field and you wanted to put that in there, you know, you would be able to not just show it in the data, but also have it in your notes.
Right.
So, you know, and at any time, those notes would be available to you.
Right.
And it's like you said with if the company's expanding, yeah, you'd put it in your partnership or whatever, but you could put it in your notes too. So, you know, and I would think there'd even be a way to export that to Outlook where, you know, you could have it where it would say January 1st or whatever. Send them an email or give them a call when it's 2018 because they said they were going to expand.
Right.
That kind of an idea.
Yep.
Yeah, it's you can also almost have a notes section to the company as well as just the person if you need to have something separate too. So that would make it so that any time you came up with that person's company, it would still have a note thing that you put for the company. And if there's something specific about the person, like you guys mentioned, like had this happen to him or whatever, so you don't bring that up or whatever it is, you can have that as a separate field too. So that'll be just being the person itself, so that you can have that better.
Yes, yes. Yeah, because there are stuff that happens to the company that doesn't happen to the
Right.
person, or
Right.
person leaves and we delete that person, well, now we've just deleted all the information for the
Right.
company.
Exactly.
And that's what we're trying to avoid. What other questions?
That's a lot of
I always get the feeling like that every time that we have these discussions, we get a little closer to understanding everything, you know what I mean? And, which is good.
I think it's just gonna come down to starting to work on it, and
Yeah.
then having you back in here to see it, and then just be like, oh, I don't want that, or oh, that looks good, and then just kind of build
Right.
off that.
And I'll tell you the same thing I tell people,
Yeah.
for example, when I've had students do internships and they're gonna do a website for someone, and the person says, I want it this color, as an example. So they mock up some stuff for them, they start to create it and they bring it in, and it's like, oh my God, I really hate Elder, but I'm afraid to say anything because I told you, no, we're working for you, so if we do something and you're like, we don't need this, or this gotta be moved here, it's not that hard, but the idea is to flush all that stuff out as early in the process as possible.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the reason why I figured it was just the easiest for me to show you what I had done, because I saw this as being, you know, one of the, well, it was the easiest way I knew how to do it. Because what I've come to realize is that we are a click and fail kind of world.
Well, the advantage, like you said too, of drop downs is it's harder for somebody to screw it up.
Yep.
You even mentioned the state, you know, you put MO in there, well, nobody's gonna spell Missouri wrong. You know, I guess the only thing is if they would choose the wrong abbreviation, well,
Yeah.
you know, there's some things that you can't help.
I guess that is one other thing that's not in here. Oh, holy mackerel. Thank you very much. County is not in here.
Okay. Is that a drop down that you're looking at?
It'd be a drop down that we're looking at. The reason why that becomes important, our 504 loan program deals with companies around the state. I can
How many
only,
companies are you talking about?
all
approximately?
of them.
No, I mean, but no, a number.
Counties in Missouri.
Yeah.
I think there's 112.
Okay. I mean, to say there's 112 is doable. Because, oh no, we need them from all 50 states. That would be a little harder.
No.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Well, and isn't that interesting too? No, I would think that field only needs to be completed if the state is Missouri.
Right. I mean,
Then you could do it as drop. I mean,
Yeah, you could-
that'd be a
Right,
drop
then
down
it'd
with
be a drop
112
down.
things in it. But with drop downs the way they're set up too, I mean, say it was zoo. They put a Z in, it's gonna bring them right down
Yeah.
to the Z's.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, and the but I've seen how many. I know because I've had to do research on the 300 counties. There's 300 and something counties within a 100-mile radius. It's ridiculous.
So
Trust
that
me,
like includes Illinois
looked at
or,
it, yeah.
you know,
But I don't need that.
okay.
Not for this purpose. For this purpose, the reason why I say that is because when we're looking at doing reporting, because eventually what I would like from this database is that, so I have, and we've talked about this, the strategic plan, right? So we've got the guy that does everything with entrepreneurs. He has a goal of 350 entrepreneurs that he has to resource. So if somewhere in here, eventually it gets to, this is an entrepreneur that we resourced in 2017, then we can create a report so that we can tell our board of directors and all of our stakeholders, this is the job that we've done. That's an eventually, that's not today. So the reason why I say that is because the SBDC, who you did not meet, Justin, is not confined to St. Charles County to work with entrepreneurs. I am confined to St. Charles County. So when I'm working, so when we have companies that we put in here, our 504 loan company, our loan line of business, is not confined to St. Charles County, but I am confined to St. Charles County. So if I'm gonna go and look up 504 loans that were done in St. Charles County, I need to know that that's St. Charles County,
Okay.
that company is in St. Charles County. So county is important in that respect.
Okay. Yeah, you could almost do a state first, then county right after that. We can do, that would be doable. So you could just make it read only or something. If you don't want it to be chosen necessarily. Or hidden.
And you know, the funny thing is that it really, really only becomes important when it's St. Charles, St. Louis City, Warren, and Lincoln.
Right.
But, and the big but is that if you're gonna put in those, 4, you might as well put which I think is right. I think there's 112. So. So yeah, so thank you for letting me remember that's important.
Anything else you can think of? Can't think of anything else.
Well, if we start on this,
Mm-hmm.
what does your schedule look like? Could you come back in a week? And we could,
Absolutely.
okay, well, then we'll show you what we're doing and you'll say, yeah, you're,
Anything
You
you
know.
guys do right now is gonna be way better than what I got, so don't think that I'm gonna come in
well,
here and
no,
go,
but what
"That's
I think
poopy."
I said this to you earlier, it's, wanna keep in regular communication because we don't wanna be going down this way and then find out when you come, no, we wanted you to go this way, you know.
I think if you start with this as your basic, now how you put it together in that basic, and I'll give you the access, I'll give you the data. I'm not saying it's correct, I'm just gonna give it to you.
And you guys had all asked, if it comes in the way I think it would, okay? I'll be able to take all that data and export that out into spreadsheets, all right? Then take that spreadsheet data and import that into queries
Yeah.
that we can write and put into SQL Server.
Yeah.
Now, that'd be my responsibility, and it's not like this, that's not that fast, but that's what I did with the stuff that I set up a database for them.
Okay.
All right, for the thing we were working on, and it took me a couple hours, but now that I've kinda got the hang of it, et cetera, you know, I could probably do it a lot faster than that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to send it to, the only other, it's just so much data that it won't let me copy and paste. I can try and put it in Excel if that's what you want.
No, you said if basically the data is all in that database,
Right.
you know, because Dropbox will take really huge files, you know,
Right.
so.
So what I'm gonna try to do then is I wanna send you that entire file. So that entire file will give you all the queries, it'll give you all the reports that are already in there. And then you guys will go, but you already have it. It just needs to be easier. Other information, questions? I know it's Friday. Anybody else going to Denver tomorrow morning?
I wish.
For work or for,
Oh, I'm going because the aspens are turning golden. Doesn't everybody just do that? All right, does it make you feel better if my uncle's dying and this may be his last winter?
that doesn't make me feel
I'd say that's a different direction.
Not-
I was
not-
going.
not at all, you
Well, I
know,
didn't
it's-
want you guys to think that I was like so pretentious that I just, go to Aspen, just at the drop of a hat or something.
I understand. I think we've got,
Do you guys have any other questions about the data?
I think we got a good understanding of what you've given us.
So I will go ahead and get you that access database
Yeah.
and put it into
and
Dropbox.
I've said this before, if you think of anything else to send to, I'd much rather be inundated with data where you say, oh, I didn't need to give you that, than, oh, I wish I would have given you this, so.
I think that the data that's in there that I'm going to hand over to you, I don't think any of it is proprietary. I think that if you really did a search for yourselves, you guys would be able to find it. I can't tell you how updated it is. That's been the other issue that we've had, in who's taking responsibility for it. So I don't want you to think, we'd prefer, I think, that we don't have it out in public.
That wouldn't be any kind of issue, it's only gonna be used in this room, so.
So that would be the only request and ask that I have.
It's not,
As all of y'all take all the data and go, ooh, I got so-and-so's phone number.
I don't think so.
And so this is where you guys get to enjoy what confidentiality is all about, right? I know. You're looking at me going, confidentiality.
Oh, I know. So,
Do you? Oh, that's right, you do have a job, right?
yep.
Don't even think that you're getting away with not even saying one. remember, I promise. All right, thank you guys so much.
I think that the form is kind of
Shaky.
messed up too, because the first name box is it's out of place and
Yeah.
the sizes are off and
Yeah, it's just. Yeah.
needs
We can do a little better, I think.
Needs
Yeah.
some work done.
Yeah. Need some work.
Just always starting to think a little bit of how these forms are gonna be set up.
Yeah.
I think,
Bunch of text boxes.
yeah, well, I
Drop
mean,
downs.
like,
Sound lists.
Yeah.
what I was thinking, like, so we have our master page or whatever.
Yeah.
And then this goes into the master page, but this up is a nested master page so that we have interchangeable tabs or whatever that pull up the bottom bits.
Right. You
So
can almost-
this is gonna stay, and then as you change, like,
Yeah.
the bottom stuff is gonna change.
Yeah, I could see that. The only thing I could see being an issue though is if you have it on here and you enter,
Yep.
I guess with the NS page, I'll still pull up the same thing, but we have to make sure it transfers the information from,
That's why I did it.
like, if the tab refreshes the entire page,
No, this is
or
not
if it
good.
just,
This is bad.
refreshes
This is exactly
the
what
place
she
it's at,
had.
cause if we
Okay.
go to a new
It looks
tab,
like a table for
will it
us.
save the
That's
information
right.
that's in
See
there
it?
when you go to a new
That makes
tab?
sense.
But like,
Or
I
will you
put
need
every single
to
one of these.
Had to refresh the page and like store it in session variables and stuff.
I think it would only
Oh yeah, it's
update this bit, cause
Right, cause that
It-
one's
this-
master page.
the master page is gonna stay, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Will it keep
It's
the
just
information?
changing
saying?
the information that's
So like, I
or
just
the
scroll
stuff
down
that's
at
in
your
here.
native
I
name.
think it will keep the
And then
information
the
here,
That's
but
the
I'm
only thing
not
I'm
sure.
wondering.
No.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm wondering because what I
Oh,
was
yeah,
thinking
it's a
before,
table,
this is
but
kind of what I was envisioning with
these
the whole thing,
things-
because she seemed to be really adamant about the fact that user error.
I
where
made them into
if
their own
she
table 'cause
clicked
they just
this,
had, like,
I laughed.
duplicate stuff.
Clicked-
You know,
let's say she
they had,
clicked
like,
on proceed.
date, date.
She doesn't click anywhere else. She starts
Yeah.
scrolling down, and it'll scroll this down because she's still
All
highlighted
that
in there.
stuff.
Yeah.
So the thing is let's say she does that,
Exactly
and
how
then
it
she's
is.
like, oh, it's not scrolling, clicks, and then starts scrolling, and she doesn't realize it changed. Have it where if you like went to the next page or whatever, let's say, it would say like right here or whatever, or like on the top, just like in parentheses, like entered or being entered by or something like that, or like editing by whatever their name that they just put it in there, and then that way it's like, oh, that's not right, and then like well back if this isn't right, hit back or
So
whatever
much of this stuff
kind of
is
thing. It's like a
copied.
check, but
If you look here,
I don't know if that's necessary, but
almost
Yeah.
every
I mean, with all the
page
human
is
errors she's
citation,
super worried
all
about,
of
I don't know
the
if that
phone
would be
number
something we could keep in mind, but
is-
we don't necessarily need that information, but
Yeah,
I almost think just having that get, because this isn't gonna change throughout any of it, at least for the
Yeah.
so this can almost be like labeled out and instead of,
And I mean, I think we could even get away with saying that this isn't gonna be changed.
yeah, that's not gonna be either,
For
the
the
industry will stay the
entire
same.
Yeah,
Because it'll be one
That doesn't
company.
look good.
Yeah.
This one
Yeah,
does.
so yeah, just all of this being like, you can almost have it text boxes and then just have it transfer into labels like we did on the outputs page. And so like once that gets submitted, like how, you can almost have this as like one page. And then once that gets filled out, like this could be like the starter kind of deal.
yes, yeah.
And then once that gets entered, this could be labeled up top, like in a smaller fashion, and then have the tabs you're talking about. That would make sense. Yeah, I can see that. Because labels would be better, I think, because then there's no way to accidentally click, scroll, or any of that stuff. So.
I mean, even if we do get away with labels, we'd still need to be able to change all this stuff. Say someone gets married, they change their last name, they get a new phone number, we'd still need to be able to get in there and change that.
Right, you still could.
Yeah.
You just what you'd have to do is when you go into that actual page, that account, it'll go into this one first.
Okay.
So then if you were to enter anything else in, you could have this get changed, or like change this to I'm entering something else or whatever. This could be like the first box because you're gonna need to enter it in like first. This is who's editing it,
Yeah.
and then you could have like last edited by this person or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's also something we could do. And you could have like a edit history or something like that, so you can see, like click on that and it'll pull up a page or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking about like random stuff that
Yeah,
is
that'd be a little bit harder, cause then
Yeah.
we'd have to almost create
inside
an entirely
page.
another
Yeah.
database to have
all the stuff stored.
all
yeah.
this stuff stored.
You could at least have like last edited by.
Mhm.
You wouldn't have to have necessarily what information was edited, just who was the one that put it in or whatever, or created by or something. That would work good. I don't know. That's all I could think of.
She's kind of funny. She says, well, you gonna enjoy your 3-day weekend? I said, I don't get a 3-day weekend, because Monday's Columbus Day.
Oh.
She goes, oh, so you're gonna be having class Monday? I said, yeah. She goes, do I have to go back to the office then so I can send you that stuff right away? I said, it's okay, 'cause she's off Monday. I said, no, it's okay.
That's funny. Yeah. So what we were just talking about, Mr. Scott.
Yeah.